a particular pattern in today's session. So we're going to be going through the triple bottom and triple top pattern. Okay, last week's sessions we did cover the rectangle pattern. So we covered the bearish and the bullish variant of this pattern. So if you didn't watch that, you can go back and watch that that session. So the second pattern that we're going to be going through is the bottom triple top and triple bottom as well. Okay, so to kick things off, we're going to be covering the bearish reversal, okay, of the triple top chart pattern. Okay, so with this pattern, there are a lot of distincting sort of factors for this. So a triple top has 3 swing highs at around the same price level. Okay, so as you can see here, I've highlighted them to make it easier for us to understand. So there's 3 swing highs at the top of this pattern. So it's pretty self-explanatory. That's why it's called a triple top. And then again, vice versa, for the bullish reversal, you'd be looking at a triple bottom. Okay, but we'll cover that as well. So the first sort of distinguishing features would be the 3 swing highs. Okay, and then we have the swing lows. So there's 2 swing lows between the 3 swing highs, okay, which project a support line. So if you can see here, you've got your 2 swing lows, which project the support line, okay. This support line is very crucial with this pattern because it will distinguish an entry point, a valid entry point, okay, in the future. So the next sort of factor, the thing that makes this distinguishable in the market is that there's 2 failed attempts for the price action to push past the resistance line. Okay, so as you can see here, price came to the resistance line. It tried but failed to push past first time, and then second time it failed again. Okay, so what I'm looking for is when I'm looking at this price on this 2 levels, so your resistance and your support, I'm looking at these reaction points and I'm looking for potential entry points, okay? I'm looking for those characteristics to understand what is being formed, how it's being formed, okay? So essentially what this shows is that the price action itself is failing to create new higher highs to continue the existing uptrend. Okay, so as you can see here, the price was on an uptrend and then failed to create the higher highs, which then indicates price reversal. Okay, so with the triple top pattern, with the first 2, it fails to make new higher highs to continue the trend, the upward trend, to establish, which this is established by the first 2 swing highs. Okay. So then, with the second and the third upswings, so with this first one, what you'll notice when you have, sorry, one second. Perfect. What you notice when you have these 2 upswings, you'll notice that volume will decrease. Okay. I'm going to show this on a live demonstration as well. What you'll tend to notice that the volume will decrease. Okay, which hints at a price reversal. Okay. So you'll notice that in the 2 swing highs that are here. Okay. Perfect. And then what confirms this price reversal is the breakout of this support. Okay, so we're looking for a breakout when we look for the breakout, once we've established the 3 swing highs, again, we need to be proactive in looking for this breakout of the support, okay? The other thing that can help us is the increase in volume, okay? So once this breaks out here and comes back, we're looking for that increase in volume at this section here. Again, I will show everyone a demonstration of this. So volume you can apply on your TradingView charts. You can apply it on your MetaTrader applications as well, okay? So when we're looking for an entry, when we're placing our stop loss and our take profits, there are a few things to keep in mind when doing this, okay? My particular trading style for the entry, you can enter upon the support breaking, right? So this side here. However, I usually look for a retest, okay? So as many of you might have heard in our groups, our channels, the Signal channel, you may have heard of the term break and retest. So that's essentially what's happening here. So it's breaking that support, it's retesting, and it's continuing, okay? So that's with my trading style, like I mentioned, I usually enter on the retest, okay? When you're looking to set your stop loss, you can place this behind the previous resistance, right? Because we already know that this resistance is quite strong. So you're essentially protecting your stop loss by placing it behind this point, okay? And then with regards to your take profits, essentially what you're doing is you're measuring the amount of pips between the resistance and the support, and then you can place your take profit accordingly. So for example, this is 50 pips, okay? So this is 50 pips in between the resistance and the support. So then you can then set your take profit as 50 pips, okay? Now, I did want to show everyone a brief example of the bullish reversal as well. So this is called a triple bottom. So the difference between a triple top and a triple bottom being that it's essentially just reversed, okay? So you have the 3 points at the bottom as opposed to the top, and then you have your two, sort of points in between the three lower points. And again, they're not creating lower lows, so it's failing to create a lower low. So essentially, you're looking for that resistance level, which is supporting these 3 points, okay? And then again, same principles. We're looking for that break of the of that sort of. So this would be the opposite actually. So this would be the resistance at this point. So you're looking for that break, retest, and there's your entry, and then you're looking to take that up. And again, you'd put your stop loss behind that previous support, okay? And then again, when you're measuring your take profits, you'd measure it between the support and resistance levels, the 2 support and resistance levels at that point. Okay. Does anybody have any questions so far about that? About how the pattern works? Any questions so far? Perfect. That's fine. Right. So let's move on to an example in the live charts. So I'm going to quickly look for an example on Euro Swiss franc, so Euro Chef, CHF. So let's have a look. I'm going to put on the indicator, the volume indicator as well. So I'm using TradingView, and what you can do is come to indicators, type in volume, and then you just click on the volume profile. So you'll see a load of lines pop up here. So like I mentioned, you're looking for the volume to decrease. So you're looking for lower levels of volume. So let's have a look. So let's see. Okay. So this looks promising, this one here. Okay. Like I said, when you're looking for the resistance and support levels, they don't need to be exact because you always have wicks as well. And the candle, the body of the candle could be a slightly different as well. Okay. So I can see one example here. So let's have a look. So let me draw this out. So 1, 2, 3. Okay. So remember the distinguishing factors that we're looking for is the 3 swing highs. So I can see one here, and then the 2 support points. So let's put that here. So 1, 2, 3. And then you have the support level here. Okay. So let me just fix that. Right. So what have we got here? We have, so I just want to give everyone a good example. Right. So we've got the support level right here. Okay. So this is your support line. So let me just change that. Just going to put a highlight on there. So that is your support level. Okay. So you've got the triple point at the top. So this is a triple top that we're looking at. And then you've got your resistance level. So I'm going to pop down the resistance level here. So resistance right there. Let's change that to red. Resistance. Perfect. So you've got the resistance level here. You've got your 2 swing lows, okay, on the support, right? Now all we're looking for at this point is we're looking for that break and the retest, right? Can anybody pop in the chat if we have perfect. So Steve, that's a good point that you mentioned there with regards to time frame, okay? Time frames. So you can find these patterns on any time frame, right? One thing that I'm going to point out right now is when we're looking for entries, which time frame should we be looking at? Can anybody pop that in the chat? Lower time frame, 15 minutes. Yeah, perfect. Awesome. So I'm going to drop down to 15 minutes to try and find a good entry point for this, right? Because we've already established. So where have we gone now? We're lost. I'm not sure if it will go back that far. I've just lost it. There we go. Okay, so let me drop it to 1 hour and see if that works. Because it's so far back, I'm not sure if the 15 minutes is going to work, but everybody was right. If you said 15 minutes, that's a good time frame to start on when you're looking for these entries. But for this example, because I found it on the 4 hour, what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at this on the 1 hour for an entry. So you've got the break here, okay? So again, with my sort of trading style, I prefer for a retest. So I didn't quite retest the area as much as I wanted it to. And again, I can refine these zones as well. They're quite rough, the zones that I've drawn. So I can look to refine them a little bit. So let me have a look at these again. So I could pull this up to the candle body there, and then bring this one slightly lower. Perfect. Let me drop that down to the 1 hour. There it is. So again, it's easier to look on the lower time frame. Right. I'm gonna go back to, I've just spotted one thing that I want to point out to everybody. So let's come back to this point here. Okay. So I'm gonna ask the question first, and then I'll go back to the slide so everybody can see, right? When we look for the breakout of the support, what particular indicator, I'm just going to throw it out there, indicator, what are we looking for with the indicator, the voluming indicator? It's very sort of obvious, the thing that's on screen right now. So with the volume indicator, what are we looking for that to do upon the breakout of the support? So once we break the support, what are we looking for with regards to the volume indicator? High volume, Sabila stated high volume. Anybody else? So high volume, you are correct in saying that. Perfect. So let's go back to the slide. So if you have a look at this, so when we're breaking that support line, it confirms the bearish reversal. However, we are looking for the volume to increase with the breakout. So as you can see here, look at this volume, the volumes level here, and then look at this spike right here in volume. It's insane. So that spike indicates that breakout, right? And what happens in the next candles? The next candles, it's retesting this level. So then you would look for an entry at this point and price drops off, right? So let's say we got into this. Let's say we got into this trade. Let's draw up the entry line. So let's say we seen this spike and then we was unsure because it was a green candle and then it turned red on this point. Let's say we entered at this point here, okay? So this is our entry. So I'm just going to type entry. So that's our entry. Again, I would place my stop loss above the previous resistance. So this is the stop loss. And now all we need to do is we need to calculate the pips between the resistance and the support. Okay, so that's about 15, 20 pips you could do. Or if you want to go for the extreme, we can do from the zones. So it's about 30 pips. So we can do 15 or 30, whichever one. And we can also increase our, so this is our entry. So let's do 30 pips. So 96. So let's call it 97. Let's just do 9700 or 96.9. So let's do 96.9. 900. Let's just do 30 pips just to keep it simple. And 6973. Perfect. So that's 30 pips. So as you can see here, price did drop off, and there was no sort of it never actually returned. It just hit stop loss straight away. Take profit, I mean. So it hit your take profit straight away. So let's change this to take profit. Perfect. So you got your entry, you got your stop loss, you got your take profit. Perfect. Does anybody have any questions about that? Why 96? So let's just go over that again. So again, when we're calculating our take profit, what we're doing is we're measuring the point between the resistance and the support, okay? So I've got the measurement here, the ruler. So I've just clicked on the ruler. And what I'm doing is I'm going from the resistance all the way down to the support level here. And what I've calculated is 30 pips. So the 30 pips, how can I point that out? So you've got 3 digits at the top, 3 different separate digits. You've got it's the one on the far right where it says minus 30.9 next to the percentage where it says 0.32% in brackets. So it's not that one, it's minus 30.9. Okay, so that's the pip count. So what I've done is I've just rounded it to 30 pips. So then from the entry, I'm calculating what 30 pips is from the entry point. We can do 30.9 or just keep it at 30. Perfect. Does anybody have any other questions about that? Once you come to see these patterns forming, it's very, very easy. It's very hard to unsee it because you've seen it now. It's very hard to unsee this. So Sophia had a question. Do we take the area between both red lines? Is that to calculate, do you mean to calculate the take profits? So this pattern specifically is the triple top, okay? But we're also looked at triple bottom as well. So it's the same concept for a triple bottom, okay? Perfect. Yes, so I will be uploading the session later. That's correct. So it's very easy to spot these patterns. Like you just seen there, I came onto the chart and spotted it straight away. Again, they're not going to be perfect. As you can see here, I dropped it to the hour time frame. It's not perfect. You can see that the wick from the 4 hour is actually a candle. It's a candle body on the 1 hour. So as you can see here, the wick on the 4 hour is, it cuts off from this point here. This is why we draw the zones, because it sort of calculates roughly where you could be looking for an entry or your resistance points. Yeah, so it's really good to sort of take note that if we go back to the hour, to take note of the increase in the volume. Does anybody use the volume indicator? Can anybody, if you pop in the chat, does anybody know how to use the volume indicator? Has anybody used it before? So it's very simple. So with the indicator, you're not really using the indicators to sort of define a trade for you. This is just one indication, right? The one indication being the increase in the volume at that particular point with the breaking of the support. But with the volume indicator, you're not really looking for a trade in that. You're not looking for a trade. Essentially, this is just a confirmation. Okay, perfect. It's broken the support. Perfect. There's a lot of volume. The volume has increased. Because if you look at the previous levels of the volume, the peaks, it's not really been that high. Whereas this has peaked significantly. That just gives you an indication, gives you more clarity. So it's very simple. I'm assuming everybody on this chat uses TradingView. So with regards to the history of price action, I wouldn't really be going far back to look for any patterns, right? What you want to be doing is you want to be looking at this, right? So let's go to price today. So today's price. So you want to be looking for it while price is forming, okay? So let's say, for example, this was the first point, the first high for the triple top. So let me just grab the path right here. So you want to be looking for this without, without price having formed already. So you want to be looking for this here, right? So it's very simple. You want to just be actively looking for these patterns. And like I say in all of my sessions, if I come back to this point here, I'm going to say it again because it's always good to hear this, even for myself. If you have a look at all of these patterns, there's many patterns, it may confuse you. But at the end of the day, what you have to think is, once you've learned every single one of these patterns are always repeated they're always repeated in the charts, right? So imagine knowing how these patterns are formed, and you don't even need an indicator. You don't need the confirmation of that volume spike, although it does help a lot actually, to dictate your entry. If it's your first time on the session, you'll only be looking for triple bottoms, right? And the example that I like to use is when I was in Starbucks. When I first started trading, my first sort of significant trade, it was a trade which it went up to sort of hundreds for myself. And I only knew back then how to trade. So imagine if it's your first session today, imagine you only know how to trade the triple bottom. But then in more sessions, as more sessions go by, you learn all of these patterns, and then you're able to look at the chart. You're able to see a cup and handle. I call this a teacup. Okay, if you look at the chart and you're just naturally able to see the triangle or the ascending or descending triangle patterns, all of these patterns, again, coming back to that point of, it's not about seeing patterns that have already formed. It's about seeing the patterns before they form. Okay. So let me go back to the live chart, if I can get back out of this. Perfect. So even at this point here, right? So if we have a look at this, so it's not the most perfect example again, but it does show what, how this works, the power of using these patterns. So 1, 2, again, it's not perfect, but see. So this price action kind of messes it up. But again, what you want to be doing is you want to be looking for that. So here, if we go back to that support level, there was not really a spike in the volume at this point. The spikes in the volume were here and here at this point. So again, it's very, very, very simple when looking for these patterns. You don't want to force a pattern either. So one thing that you do not want to be doing is seeing patterns that are not actually there. You want to make sure that you've got each individual characteristic in order first before you establish the pattern. You don't want to be sort of imagining patterns on the chart, because again, that'll just give you sort of a false expectation of a pattern being developed. So again, it happened after that as well. So it kind of just dropped off past this point, this support level here. But this is a really good example. I'm glad I found this example. But yeah, does anybody have any more questions before we end the session today? Okay, perfect. So I'm going to show everyone again how to enable the volume indicator. So assuming everybody uses TradingView. So if you click on indicators at the top here, so if you just click on this, and then we type in volume, okay. So the one that I like to use is this one here. Usually it does say some more detail. So I'm going to show the description. Hopefully it shows some more detail with regards to which indicator it is or who it's developed by. So it doesn't actually show anything about. Okay, that's fine. So I favorited the volume indicator. So let's type in volume again. So you have a star. So if you hover over the indicator, you have a star next to it, and you just click on that star and it will favorite the indicator for you. And then you'll obviously have it in your favorites. You don't have to keep going back to it. So it's very simple. It's not a community script, so it is built into the TradingView. So any time frame, you can use any time frame. So let's say, for example, you are a scalper. Again, time frames for scalping strategies will between sort of minutes. So you're looking at minutes at that point. You can find the patterns in the minutes. So 1 minute, 5 minute, 15 minute. If you're an intraday trader, you can find the patterns in an hour, 4 hour. And then if you're a swing trader, you can find these patterns on, the daily, the weekly as well. But again, it's depending on your trading style. So like I said, when I believe, to be honest with you, in a lot of trading styles, entry points are always identified through lower time frames, unless you're scalping, of course. When you're scalping, it's a different sort of ball game. Yeah, I can go through a different time frame. That's not a problem. So the difference between a support and resistance as well. So let me drop down to the 15 minute. So let's have a look. Maybe that's sometimes you'll see the patterns. So, for example, Monero will draw up these patterns, and they're not exactly on the same level, so they don't have to be precise. But obviously, the more precise it is, the better. So, for example, I think we have found one here. So, yeah. So this is, like I mentioned before, they don't have to be perfect. So you've got it here, the triple top. So 1, 2, 3. So they don't have to be perfect. So right here, you have another one. Let's draw up our support and resistance. So the resistance being at this point here. So let's just draw that there, for example. So that's your resistance. And then we have our support line, which is here. So we've got our support there. Let's change the color of that to green. So that's your support line. And then again, like I mentioned before, with the volume, it's not always going to show. However, when you're looking for that entry, again, we're looking for a lower time frame entry. I might not be able to find that on here. Just bear with me 1 second. Okay, I won't be able to do it because it's so far back and it's on a 5 minute. Okay, so again, you'd switch to a lower time frame. So it can be the 5 minute or the 1 minute, and then you'd look for that entry. We can see here that price did pull back, however. So you can see that price broke out. It did pull back here at this point. So then you would look to get in the trade at that point and take the trade down. So if you held it, for example, so let's have a look at this. So this is 15 minutes. So okay, let's have a look. So you caught about 10 pips there. And then if you held on to that, if you held on to it, of course, you could catch more. But if you're scalping, more than likely you would have just got the 10 pips, 10 or so pips. So if you caught it at this retest, so about 10 pips on a lower time frame if you're scalping. Again, it's very simple. When you're looking for these patterns, don't complicate it. So the significance of the volume indicator, it tells you when there's a peak in the amount of orders that are being placed. Okay, so let's come back to that example, the 4-hour example, and I'll show you just exactly what that means. Okay, so let's see. So why we want more volume when we're looking for this breakout of this point here. So can anybody tell me why we would look for an influx in volume with this breakout? Can anybody put that in the chat? What would be the reasoning behind that? If we're looking to enter this trade, right? If we're looking to enter this trade for a sell, why would we want a spike? Why would we want it at this point? Impulsive reaction. No. So the reason we're looking for the high volume is because we know that it's an actual breakout. So remember, this is a breakout candle. We want the momentum, okay, to confirm it's going down. Yeah, exactly, to confirm that it is going down, because remember what I stated before. Let me go back to the 4-hour. Remember what I stated before with the two sort of swing highs. With the two swing highs, we're looking for a drop in momentum. So as you can see here, when it came higher, we're looking for the drop in momentum here, and we're looking for the drop in momentum for the volume here, right? But then when we're going to break out of this support, we don't want momentum to be slow. We want it to be quick, because if we're entering this trade and the volume is slow, the momentum is slow, price could easily reverse and go back. It could easily reverse and go back. So think of it as, if you're driving fast, if you're driving super fast, it's hard to stop and turn around. It'll take a lot of time to stop your vehicle and turn around. Whereas if you're driving slow, you could easily, turn around. You could easily stop the car and turn around. But with a spike in volume, that means, as you can see here, the price just dropped off completely because of that sort of spike in volume pushing past that previous support. So we're breaking that support, which means that price can drop further. With the addition of high volume, it just means that it's a better confirmation than low volume. If there's low volume and it's breaking out, could easily come back. Okay, so that's the significance of the volume. Perfect. So order blocks, I will be going through that in a future session for order blocks. So it's something that I want to go through once we've completed the patterns. I'm going to be putting together a session which will include essentially include sort of different confirmations and what we're looking for, sort of a step-by-step to identify trades that we can take through using different avenues. So order blocks as well would be included. So I'll go through that in a different session. But yeah, I hope everybody got some value out of today's session. If you did, feel free to pop it in your groups. Feel free to pop it in the chat today as well. What I'm going to do is I'm going to quickly grab the Telegram group link. So I'm going to grab that for you now. Just bear with me 1 second while I do that. So let me just grab that link. Yeah, so what I want everybody to do as well, if you join the chat, feel free to post in there your markups. So if you identify these patterns, feel free to post them. Feel free to screenshot them and post them. It doesn't have to be this specific pattern. It can be any of the other patterns that I've mentioned here. So we previously went through the rectangle pattern. It could be the triple bottom and triple top. So one thing that I want to point out here as well is, as you can see here, the 2 points, the lower points, they're not particularly touching these support levels. So just keep that in mind, that when you're looking for these patterns, so for example, with this triple top, the 2 touch points at the support are on different levels, right? So just keep in mind that with the triple top and the triple bottom, these 3 touch points don't have to be exact, okay? Amazing. I appreciate everybody joining today. Again, So again, depending on what time frame you're looking at. So because this is a 4-hour time frame, I genuinely, the reason I draw up these zones is to include the wicks as well, and to include the sort of fluctuation in the price point. So as you can see here, this first point for the triple top was a lot higher than the other two. So that's why I draw a zone instead of just a line. You know, the price action is not just one line like this stop loss. That's not your resistance point, right? Your resistance can vary. It's same with your support as well. Your support can vary. It's not just one particular line. It's a zone, right? It's a zone. So when you talk about is it just candle bodies, I prefer to identify the candle bodies. But again, if you're looking at the wicks, you can include the wicks as well. So the wicks are just as important as the candle bodies. But the more you look at these patterns, the better. So to answer your question, to simply answer your question, it's only the candle bodies that I look for. But again, I also look at where the wicks are because it shows on the lower time frame, these will be candle bodies. So if you look at the hour, so I'll just quickly show everyone before I end the session. Where's it gone? There it is. So this, I want to quickly show everyone. So these are wicks on the 4-hour. These points outside of this zone, they are wicks. Okay, so the wicks are important as well, right? Don't disregard the wicks. However, I concentrate when I'm looking for patterns, I concentrate on candle bodies. Okay. So yeah, but I appreciate everybody for joining the session today. If you did, receive a lot of value from the session, feel free to pop it in your groups. And yeah, appreciate everyone. I look forward to seeing you next week, Tuesday, on next week's session. Take care, guys. Thank you.